Welcome to the Through These Gates podcast, the most rational Nebraska football show on the internet. I am your host, as always, Caleb Salvatore, and we are still doing audio only this week. Sorry about that. Schedule's a little hectic today, so I had to cut some corners. Hopefully we'll be back to video next week, though. We're doing a pregame preview for the Georgia Southern game coming up this Saturday at 6 o'clock, and I guess we'll just, as usual, dive right into it. A couple things I'm looking for in this game are, number one, returning injured players. Travis Vokalek and Nick Henrik, are they back out on the field this week? Or are we going to be without them for another week? And, hopefully they can rest up through the bye and be ready for Oklahoma. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Another thing I'm looking out for is starters in terms of who starts where on the offensive line. I think that's going to be the most interesting, or one of the most interesting things to see, simply because what we've seen in the last 2 weeks is completely unsustainable in terms of offensive line play. When they get to the Big Ten play, they are going to be gutted if they perform like that. And obviously, some type of change has to be made. As far as what that is, I'm not 100% sure, but they've got to do something. I don't know if it's with personnel, if it's with scheme, what the deal is, but Anthony Grant did not have the game he did last week because his offensive line was just paving holes for him. He did that in spite of them, and we should applaud him for it. And then the last thing I'm looking out for, the juiciest thing, because, the Kardashians, the desperate housewives of Nebraska, of Lincoln, right? What I'm looking for, Real Housewives. I don't watch those chick shows, man. What I'm looking for, though, is who's calling plays. Frost took over in the second half, and honestly, the play calling looked a lot better after he took over. And, when you're coaching every week for your job, quite literally, especially in a game like North Dakota, it's got to be hard not to take the reins over. Whipple was very conservative, I felt, with his play calling. And he wasn't going with what works. The run game was really boring and mundane, and Anthony Grant really busted the game open once, Frost took over, and they got a little bit more aggressive. I think part of the reason was they thought they could go out there, like I said, and just, kind of steamroll over them and rely on their talent, even though they had a vanilla game plan, and that did not work. So it'll be interesting to see who calls plays this week. My gut tells me it's going to be Whipple, but I think everyone on this team, coaches, players, you name it, is on an incredibly short leash with very little room for error this year. So we'll see. Those are two type A alpha personalities too. So how those two mesh throughout the rest of the season is going to be something to keep your eye on, because Mark Whipple's not going to go down without a fight. And Scott Frost isn't going to sit by and, let somebody tank his make or break season. So we'll see where that goes. So Georgia Southern is who we're moving on to. I'll get to that later. But Georgia Southern is who we're moving on to this week. And they're an interesting team. They've got Clay Helton, the old USC coach. And their quarterback is Kyle Van Treese, who transferred from Buffalo. We played them last year. We kind of humiliated him. Now, this is a spread offense. So Nebraska's defensive back depth is really going to be tested this week. This team can air it out. They beat Morgan State 59-3. Now, Morgan State was not as good of an FCS team as North Dakota, but at the end of the day, we're a Power 5 FBS team. We should have handled North Dakota as well, if not better, than Georgia Southern handled Morgan State. So don't think this game is going to be some walk in the park. I expect them to give us hell early. These guys run that Mickey Mouse fast-paced offense, and it's going to show. Man, we're going to see just how deep this secondary is, all right? Omar Brown, he played he was FCS Freshman Defensive Back of the Year, or Defensive Player of the Year, so maybe he can keep up with him. I don't know. But, there's more depth there. Quentin Newsome, Braxton Clark, Tommy Hill, obviously. We're really going to see, because these guys, and we're going to get into the three numbers to remember. First one is 10. That's the amount of players who caught a pass for Georgia Southern last week against Morgan State. Again, against Morgan State, weird body of work. But you got to keep in mind, these are all D1 athletes, man. And Nebraska didn't look great. So 10 guys caught passes. This is a team that's going to be able to go the distance with you, okay? This is a team that's going to be able to keep up with you, and you better be in good shape playing a team that runs an offense like this, or they are going to put up a ridiculous amount of points against you. So hopefully the offense can answer the call to that. The second number, 46, the amount of games that Clay Helton won as a head coach at UFC or USC in the Pac-12. Okay, he didn't coach in FCS or the Sun Belt or anything like that, or the MAC or anything like that. This guy's got a bona fide record. He wasn't the greatest coach at USC, but he won games in a Power 5 conference. So this is not some pushover coach. This is not the 3-9 Georgia Southern team from last year. This is a completely different, revamped team. They got a new quarterback, new coach, new scheme. Do not sleep on a team like this. They are not going to be a pushover. We're not going to be able to just go in there and steamroll them. And this is the type of team that if we try to keep it all conservative and, just kind of trot ourselves out there, throw our helmets on the field and hope we can win, just based on sheer talent, like we did last week, we're going to lose. This isn't a game we're going to be able to win. And then the last number, and this especially goes for those of you who are going to be at the game, we have 22 recruits will be in attendance to that game. Some of them already committed. One of them, Malachi Coleman, the big shot receiver out of Lincoln. The reason I'm bringing that up is if they're not playing well at halftime, don't boo. You can go complain on social media. I'll be your shoulder to cry on in the comments. Don't boo. That's all I'm saying. Just don't boo them. Like, if you imagine being you don't want to hear that. That's your experience, is the team getting booed by the fan. Don't do that. Even if they deserve it. Come on here. Go on social media and bitch, Reddit. Comment down here. Please comment here. It helps with the algorithm. And we'll do that. But don't bitch. That's all I ask. Don't boo. Just don't boo. That's all I ask. Don't boo. Don't yell obscenities. Do it after the fact. Go to the bar, get lit. It's a night game, man. That's the other thing. It's a night game. These fans are not, as much as I can beg and plead, these fans are not going to have a high amount of patience with Scott Frost, given that it's a night game. For that fact, I mean, we've all been to night games. You know what goes on at night games. The drinking's a little out of control there. Everyone's been partying and tailgating and hitting the rail yard all day. So, I'm trying to plead with you here. Come complain to me in the comments. Complain on Twitter. Tweet at Scott Frost. Trev Alberts. I don't give a crap, man. Just remember that the future of the program is going to be at that game, or potential future of the program. Last up, we're going to do this every week. Adrian Martinez watch at Kansas State. We are not an Adrian Martinez hate podcast. We're rightfully critical of him, but it's not a hate. I just want to give people updates on where he's at so we can compare. They played South Dakota, which was the third best of the 4 Dakota teams last week, at Kansas State. They won. They won. They shut him out. Adrian Martinez went 11 of 15 for 53 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, 13 rushes for 39 yards, a touchdown, and a fumble that he did not lose. Just giving you the raw numbers. Do with those what you will. I think that he'll actually fit in better there, if you want me to be honest, because they don't seem to want their quarterback to throw as much as we do here. Now, we'll see when they get into Big 12 play if he can keep up with the fast-paced offenses. They play Missouri this week, so it'll be interesting to see what he looks like against, albeit not a very good one, but still a Power 5 opponent nonetheless. So this has been the Through These Gates podcast. We'll see you Sunday. Check out my new show on outlawstreamers.com. That's Based with Caleb Salvatore. It's also available on Rumble and I believe Spreaker. So go check that out. I got my other show, Bread and Circuses, the comedy podcast. And then tonight, Friday, September 9th at 9 p.m. at Beach House, formerly Wired Pub, new ownership. We love them to death. We've got for $10 at the door or $7 online, you can see Tyler Walsh, the TikTok sensation, for Harmful Content Comedy. That's my monthly show. Come out and check it out. So, again, I'm Caleb Salvatore. This is the Through These Gates podcast. Have a good night. Peace. You know what? I totally realized right after I recorded this, guys, I forgot to do a score prediction. I'm going to 41-20 Nebraska. I think it's close early and we pull away. I think, we're not going to have the excuse of, or we're not going to have the hangover from the Northwestern game behind us. That cloud's going to be gone. They'll have had at least a week in town, not traveling back from, Dublin, Ireland. And I think we're going to do it. So I think we win 41-20. Anyway, enjoy the rest of the show. Thanks.